Okay, today we are looking at lesson 4.3c, solving quadratic equations by factoring. It's a continuation of 4.3b. We're going to be doing the same thing, the box method. This is the method they teach you in the book. However, I like to use the box method instead. Now, in the box method from yesterday, if you'll recall, we create a box. And in that box, what we want to do is we want to put our first term, this one right there, into box number 1. So we're going to place the 6y squared into this first box. Okay, into the last box we will place our last term, which is a 20. It's going to go right here. Okay, next thing that we want to do is multiply this coefficient times this number, and 6 times 20 is 120. If you recall from yesterday, we need to think of two numbers which multiply to give us 120, and they add, they add to give us a negative 23. So obviously, the two numbers that we use are going to have to be negative if they're going to add to give us a negative, while multiplying to give us a positive. So one method you can do is just start thinking of numbers that multiply to give you 120. For example, 1 times 120, 2 times 60, 3 times 40, 4 times 30, 5 times 24. And as you can see, we're getting closer now to the numbers that we need, because the two numbers that we use need to add together to get us 23. We're at 29 right now. So let's try 6 times 20. Okay, 7 will not go into 120. Let's try 8. Okay, 8 goes into 120 15 times. Give me a second to get that, but if you take a look at these two numbers, 8 and 15, they multiply to give us 120, and they add to give us 23. However, remember, we need a negative 23. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a negative 8 and a negative 15. And if you recall from yesterday, one of those numbers needs to go into one of the boxes, put an X at the end, and the other number needs to go into the other box and put an X at the end. Now, from yesterday, if you recall, we want to get this first number right over here. So we need to find a common factor of 6y squared. Okay, I used x's. Let's fix that. I'll just kind of do a fake y here. How's that? All right, good. Okay, so we need a common factor of 6y squared and 8y. Now, 6y squared is 2 times 3 times y times y. And 8y squared is, or 8y, is 2 times 2 times 2 times y. Our greatest common factor of these two numbers, they share a 2 and they share a y. So our greatest common factor is 2y. So that's the number that will go out to this side, 2y. All right? Now we're going to go and grab this number right up here. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can find the greatest common factor of 6y squared and 15y. However, you could also say 6y squared divided by 2y. I like doing that better. 6y squared divided by 2y is 3y. Okay, now we're ready to grab some other numbers. We're going to get this one right up here first. Remember, it is going to be negative 8y divided by 2y. So, negative 8y divided by 2y is going to be negative 4. And last but not least, we're going to get this number right here, which is going to be negative 15y divided by 3y, which will get us a negative 5. Okay, so we want to do one last check. We want to make sure that this number times this number equals this number. And they do, so we're good to go. All right, the factored form of the polynomial 6y squared minus 23y plus 20 is 3y minus 4 times 2y minus 5. That's going to be equal to 0. So either 3y minus 4 is 0 or 2y minus 5 is 0. And so from that fact, we know that y either has to equal, we've got a minus, so this is going to be positive, 4/3. So y equals 4/3. On the other hand, we can look at this second one. Y equals, it's going to be a positive 5/2. Okay, and there are your solutions for that polynomial. Let's look at one more. This is your exercise number 1. A little easier numbers. Step 1 we're going to build the box. Okay, and the 2x squared will go into the first position, just like always. Next we have the minus 3 or negative 3 goes into the last position. We need to multiply 2 times negative 3, which results in a negative 6. And now we need to come up with two numbers that which multiply to give us negative 6 and add to give us negative 1. All right, so we've got a lot of options here. We could do 1 times negative 6, however they don't add to give us negative 1, they add to give us negative 5. I could do negative 1 times a positive 6, and once again that's going to give us 5. I could do a positive 2 times a negative 3, and if we take a look at those two, they do multiply to give us negative 6, and they add to give us negative 1. So these are the two numbers that are going to go into the boxes. We'll place a 2x in one of them, and we'll place a negative 3x in another. And now we will go ahead and get the outside numbers. We'll get this one first. Obviously 2x squared and 2x share a 2x. Okay, next, let's go ahead and get this one right here. 2x squared divided by 2x is x. Let's grab this top one right over here. Okay, 2x divided by 2x is 1. And last but not least, we'll get this one like that. We'll get this one right here. Okay, negative 3x divided by x is negative 3. And so we have the two binomials of x plus 1 from the top, 2x minus 3 from the left side. That's going to be equal to 0. Okay, using the zero product property, we know that here x would have to be negative 1. And from the second one, we know that x would have to be positive 3 over 2. And there are your solutions. That's all there is to lesson 4.3c. And we'll be back for the next lesson in a few days.